ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Now What with Gail Dolbert. Good afternoon. My name is Scott Love, or morning or evening or whatever time it is, wherever you are around the world. Let's think about that for a second. Here I am in Bay City, Michigan with Gail, and you are somewhere in the future, somewhere else on the planet. So it's really neat that we've created like this time travel, multi-dimensional, quantum jumping technology where my words and Gail's words right now in your past in Michigan are reaching you wherever you are in the future. That's cool. I don't know, maybe it's not that cool, but
well, it is pretty cool.
it's pretty neat, right?
Kind of mind expanding.
Mind expanding, yes.
Mind expanding, yes.
Very good. Well, this is our second recording. Actually, it's technically our third, but it's our second because we did that test.
Mm-hmm.
And that turned out pretty neat when we first putting our toes in the water of this podcasting thing. And this week we are changing things up a little bit from what we did last week. We're still finding our footing. We're still finding what gears we want to engage in creating this Now What podcast. One of the reasons we're creating this podcast is so that you, the listeners, can find some peace and some harmony in your life. You know, we're out to create a world that is more fair and more just for every living being on it. And hopefully these words and these references and these resources will help you on that path. All right. So without further ado, let's take a minute to check in with Gail. How you doing, Gail?
I am great. How are you, Scott? You doing good?
I am doing good.
Yeah.
I've been in a good mood the last few days. I'm pretty much always in a good mood, but the last few days I've been in a really good mood. And that's because I'm starting to see the giant walking strawberries. That's fun.
Okay, you're seeing walking strawberries? What's that about?
Giant walking strawberries. So you mentioned something a few minutes ago. You said that we are still in Lent, and for some reason in my mind I thought that had already come and gone.
Lent begins on Ash Wednesday, and this year it was the first Wednesday of March, and it goes for 40 days. And it's kind of tricky the way that through the ages and different religions and things, it's become like, okay, so you don't count Sundays in the 40 days.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay.
I guess you just talk about it on Sundays.
So are those like little break days? Can you break your fast? Or
I suppose.
Okay.
I suppose. But for unity, what we teach about Lent, and traditionally it's you give up something that you really like. Like some people try to give up smoking, or some people try to give up a certain food, or and the outer kind of giving up. And in unity, it's all about the inner. It's all about the walk really that Jesus took when he was releasing his ego stuff, and he, was in the wilderness for 40 days. 40 is a big thing through the Bible. It's very symbolic of many things.
The flood was 40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah, and the Israelites took them 40 years, to get to, and unity, we look at those things as the symbols and reoccurring things like that, but truly it's about how we are able to reconcile this human life with our divine life, because we're both. We are divinely human, and sometimes our soul purpose on this earth, soul, not our sole soul, but our purpose on this earth is to really just kind of figure it out in a way that's not all about the physical, that we create spiritual practices. And at Unity, we teach simple ones for everyday living. Keep it. I say, give it a kiss. Keep it spiritually simple, because that way, when you have a bad day, you can go within, use one of your spiritual tools like prayer, meditation, just some quiet contemplation. Get out in nature And yeah, even though it's cold still here in Michigan,
right.
it's still absolutely such a beautiful place. And so it's about connecting with something greater than we are, because we are part of something greater than each of us in this collective. So Lent for Unity is about giving up thoughts that are harmful to you. Intrusive, worry, fear, negativity, like this political scene that's happening right now. Instead of sitting in fear, we can affirm that something is going to come out of this that's going to shift us all in a positive way, that's going to lift us higher in our evolutionary consciousness. And consciousness is another word that you can use. Well, I'm conscious, meaning I'm awake, like physically, but our consciousness of what we're thinking and how we're acting in life is a whole other realm. And that's what it's so easy to not pay attention to.
It's funny that you just created that connection between the word conscious and being awake, because I think about the war against woke, and it's kind of a war against consciousness. Mm-hmm. It's literally, if they're making fun of people for being quote unquote woke, and that becomes a hot button issue. So basically what they're saying is they're making fun of people for thinking for themselves, or for being consciously aware that their choices have natural consequences, like we touched on last week when we spoke about natural consequences.
Right.
So it's really hitting me right now in this moment that anytime I see this war against woke, what they're actually saying is they have a war against anybody who isn't thinking exactly what they want them to think and feel.
Correct. And we have to watch saying they, because they're us. We're all one.
True that.
There are folks that are in so much fear that they feel like if somebody is woke as far as seeing through some of the smoke screens that are being put up through the media, and that's another spiritual practice, is turning off your television, turning off your TV. Only listen to good podcasts like this one.
Yeah,
but be choosy, and so what I teach, what I practice as best I can, and that's all we can do, the best you can at the moment, is pay attention to your thoughts. When you start, just take a moment and breathe, and realize, oh gosh, I've been running this fear about this government's the United States is gonna crumble. I've been running that fear. I've been seeing it and feeling it. Wait a minute. If I'm this powerful, which we each are, I need to stop that. I need to see what's possible and what's mine to do. What's mine to do in this to lift us up?
Right. So we were talking a few minutes ago about tools that are available for people to process through Lent, and I noticed that you have this book here that you brought with you. Mm-hmm. Is that one of the tools that you use in the process of?
It is. It's by Michael Bernard Beckwith. He is a Center for Spiritual Living minister, which is like a sister organization to Unity. And a lot of these tools and things I'm talking about, you can go to unity.org and find booklets, and they put out a Lenten booklet every year. But I have found this one by Michael really good. It's called 40-Day Mind, Fast, and Soul Feast. And that's really what Science of Mind and Unity teaches. It's about the mind fast from our habitual thoughts that are destructive to us. And they're so subtle, and we get so used to them. They just kind of chip away at our freedom of being happy or of creating things in our life, from prosperity to a government in this world that works. And when I say tools, they're really, and what is ours to do? What is yours to do? It doesn't mean you have to go out and anybody in the world know even anything you're doing, because it starts in your mind and heart. It starts with thoughts backed by feeling. But it's the thoughts that we believe in, that we take to heart, that manifest out, and we see that in our world. And we get so used to that in our world that we forget to stop and say, is this really how I want my world to go? And that's what this Lenten season does for those who want to be more conscious, those who want to create change in their life, in their inner life, in their outer life, because they go hand in hand.
Nice.
When you start getting more peaceful and trusting yourself, having some faith in the good things in life, even when things happen that don't feel so good, you can have those tools. And so Michael goes through this, and there's affirmations and some ideas to ponder. And it's kind of fun to have a 40 days. It's like, wow, seems like a long time. And using some of Michael's book here for that. This today that we're recording this happens to be April the 9th, day 31 of Lent. Because like I said earlier, for some reason, you don't count Sundays.
Right.
So this coming Sunday is Palm Sunday.
Okay.
And we don't do palms, really. Those symbols are kind of cool. Yeah. And we use some of that, but we have to just keep in mind that they're symbols.
Do you know what the symbol of the palm leaf is?
Well, it was, they were Hosanna, he was, Jesus was walking and the people that were supporting him laying down the palms for him to walk on.
Okay.
So it's kind of a ritual of trying to make things a little smoother,
Right.
a little easier. And sometimes we would even give out little palms, palm fronds that we'd order. Today, this one's called Spiritual Loyalty. On day 31 here of Lent, wouldn't it be just a mess if Spirit placed your answer in someone else? Spiritual loyalty, he says, is looking within to the self for divine guidance and following its direction to the next step in your unique pattern of unfoldment. And that's what we have to remember. We each have our own unique spin on these things. So what I say and how I pray and how I meditate doesn't have to be the way you do. We just have to find our groove in that. And another thing I teach pretty much every Sunday is have practices that you can do little and often throughout your day. Little and often. Breathe. Just take a minute and breathe. So we each have our own way, and there's really no wrong way as long as it's effective in your life. Affirmative prayer generally starts with, I am peaceful, I am whole, I am loved. Short ones like that. It can be even longer, but it's best to kind of keep it simple and something that you can actually use. You can hear it in your mind and you can feel it in your body.
Yeah, so I have this mantra that I repeat in myself, and it's, I am one with the light and love of God. I am one with the light and love of the universe. And then sometimes I take it a little step further. I'll repeat that over and over and over again until I feel it. And sometimes I feel it right away. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I have to actually break it down word for word, where it's I, this being, am, not I will be, not I could be, not I used to be. I am one with, not standing next to, but I'm one with the light and love of God, and I'm one with the light and love of the universe. And I'll repeat that, and then usually after a few minutes I'll switch it to, we are one with the light and love of God, and we are one with the light and the universe. And it's really good because it shifts my focus. That's the mantra I use when I'm golden keying situation, which is by Emmett Fox. And I have a podcast on Portal's podcast about the golden key. But it's basically, he calls it scientific prayer. And he claims that it is the one key to get you out of any harsh situation. And it's just simply focusing on God. That's it. There's no thinking of the problem, no thinking of the issue, not trying to find solutions, just turning it over to God 100% and knowing that it's going to be okay. And I've had experiences many times in my life. Every time I apply this practice.
And so And there comes something up for me. Then when we rely on God, when we give everything to God, what does that mean to you? What is God? Because there's so many years and so many religions have God as a deity in the sky. And if we do certain things, certain ways, we'll have God's favor. Yeah. And I know that's not what you meant.
Well, so when I feel into God, I don't see God as an order giver. I believe that there's a flow and a natural cause and effect to the universe. And rather than try and define what God looks like, anything like that, because it looks like everything, first of all, it is everything, in my opinion. So I can tell when I'm not in, quote unquote, walking with spirit, because there's a lot of resistance. You know, I wake up and I drop things 5 times. My coffee spills. You know, my car won't start. Whatever the situation is, traffic is crazy. If there's resistance, then a lot of times what I'll do is I'll check and I'll be like, okay, am I doing this out of ego? And I usually find that if I can just disconnect from my ego and be present with God, again, that's very ambiguous, isn't it?
It is.
Right, but God is ambiguous.
And it's very individual.
Yeah.
And wherever you are on your spiritual path, and that's one of the beauties of Unity, of Science of Mind, the Centers for Spiritual Living, these kind of, we're called New Thought spiritual centers, is that we allow that space. Some folks have come from a very strict, let's say Catholic or other backgrounds, and they're still trying to find what God is other than this deity in the sky that's going to get you if you don't do things a certain way. And if you don't confess, and if you don't, and I'm not putting down Catholicism. It's just been a model that has been very, I feel like, misleading in how we get to God, because we don't get to God. We are God within us all the time. All the time.
Isn't that the difference between Gnosticism and agnosticism? That if you're agnostic, you're saying, I don't know. And if you're Gnostic, then you're saying, I do know. Because the word gnosis means knowing. So, and another thing about the church that kind of freaks me out is I know when I'm tapping into God, I feel it. And I don't like the idea that I'm supposed to, according to these belief systems, not have a direct connection with God. I'm supposed to go through a third party, a representative of God. You know, it's like bureaucratic spirituality.
That's a good way to put it.
It's frustrating.
It is, and it's not true,
right,
in the capital T sense. We can make it true for us, make it seem so real that we get in our own way when we don't step aside, take a breath, and just allow, like you said, allow that feeling, that presence of whatever you want to call it. You can call it George if you want, but that all-pervading feeling. Howard Thurman was a minister and a companion to Martin Luther King Jr., and his one writing, I just love his writing. He wrote, "Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. In good times and bad times, and the dust and grit of life, keep fresh before me these moments," like you were just talking about, Scott, where you feel that presence. And like I said, it doesn't have to be something that you go off into a cave and sit for weeks or days or hours. It's a moment by moment process. As long as we stay conscious of what we're thinking, we can catch it, because those thoughts are going to come and they're going to come back, but we stay awake and aware of what's going on. And then we can go, oh, wait a minute. So that's one of my mantras, is keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. When I'm in that space of discerning, when I'm in that space.
Yeah, there's no set track for spirituality. And something that came up when we were just having that conversation there about Catholicism, because I got to say there is something very attractive about the idea of having all your transgressions wiped clean and being forgiven by this great deity. It also means there's a lot less work to do.
That's right.
You know, I don't need to do all this work because I stood up in front of the congregation and ate the wafer, and and it's whatever works.
I call it Bart Simpson spirituality. From The Simpsons.
Yeah.
He went to a revival. I haven't watched The Simpsons in years, but this one caught my eye because he's a bad boy. He's always a little stinker, and he went to this revival and saw people, confessing their sins, and the preacher said, "You're saved, and you're going to heaven." And Bart's like, So he said, all I have to do is confess right there, whatever he's done, and then he's all absolved from whatever transgressions. So was his pattern. He could do whatever he wanted, but as long as he said, "Sorry."
Well, no, that's literally how a lot of people will think.
It's true.
Yeah. All right, so let's switch gears here real quick. And I know you have a lot going on. There's the Wednesday Wisdom Wednesdays, right? And then you have something going on later this afternoon?
I do. We have our book club that is talking about Jesus as a mystic.
Okay.
And which I love that we're referring to him the way we do other mystics, because that's what he was,
right.
and his presence. So we have a book club, and it's by Marianne Williamson, Jesus as Mystic, and that's today. And we just have so many things. We're going to start another class. Not quite sure. We just finished the 12 Powers.
Okay. I heard a lot of good things about that. In fact, a friend of mine downloaded it, even though because she couldn't come to the club. Mm-hmm. She downloaded it, and she's been listening to it at work and on her drive. And she really likes it.
Good. Yes. And so then we have, we like Sunday we did, my title of my talk was That's Puzzling. And so I had a lot of puzzles out after the service, and we always have snacks and things, and then people putting puzzles together. And so there's that kind of community here, that kind of just fun, let's put puzzles together, and enjoy each other's company, and our classes and meditation groups and those kinds of things that are going on at the center all the time.
I love the community aspect. I know a lot of organizations have the gathering after Sunday, but there's something really unique about for me anyhow, the unity gatherings afterwards, because I like the fact that you get to hang out with people and you just had an hour's worth of talking points to discuss.
Yeah. So stay tuned to all the things that are going on. You can get Unity, our website, unityofbaycity.com, and if you want to be on our mailing list.
Unityofbaycity.com? Unityofbaycity.com?
Unityofbaycity.com. Yeah, that's our website. And all of the classes, everything that's going on is there. You can also, we have a lot of Facebook posts of what's going on. And if you want to get on our mailing list, just let us know. We don't barrage you with a lot of emails, I promise.
Very good. Awesome. I'm really looking forward to the service on Sunday.
It's Palm Sunday, and Tammy Monroe is going to be our guest speaker.
Oh, cool.
And then Easter Sunday is going to be pretty wonderful, too. We'll have some traditions that we discuss about what they mean, like communion. And so it's going to be a real special day as well.
So many cool things going on. Well, Gail, thank you so much for being here. And listeners, I really appreciate you tuning in. If you'd like to find out more information about any of the awesome programs they have happening up here, go to unityofbaycity.com, or you can find unityofbaycity.com on Facebook. Very good. All right. So now what?